Good evening, boys and girls. This is Mrs Yelton, and I'm reading to you a story, one of my favorite stories, called The Legend of the Schmooney. It's by Bob Shumaker, who is originally from Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and he now lives in Simpsonville, South Carolina. He's the author, and he actually gave this book and the stuffed animal to my children whenever my oldest daughter was having one of her many surgeries at Shriners Hospital in Greenville, South Carolina. And I like this book because it teaches you a really good life lesson. And if you look at the Schmooney, you can tell that he's made up of many different animals. So there's 7 different animal parts. You can see his eyes, his ears, his front legs and back legs, his belly, his back, and his tail are all from 7 different animals. And you can try to guess and see if you can figure out what animals make up the Schmooney. And while I'm reading the story, if you would just stop and think about what life lesson are you learning from this story that might help you someday in your life. Very deep within the darkness of the enchanted forest lived a strange creature called a Schmooney. The Schmooney was extremely shy and was so sensitive about his looks that he rarely ventured out of his dark burrow in a fallen tree. One day, the Lord of the Forest called upon the Schmooney. He asked the Schmooney to come out of his burrow to talk for a while, but the Schmooney would not come outside. "Why not come out and talk?" asked the Lord of the Forest. "Are you afraid? I will protect you, my friend." The Schmooney answered in a very small voice, "My lord, you are so very great that I am embarrassed for you to have to see me." "But I came here especially to see you," the Lord of the Forest replied, puzzled. The Schmooney was silent for an agonizing moment. He knew that he must answer. Furthermore, he knew that one must always tell the truth to the Lord of the Forest. He wished that he could disappear, or that the Lord of the Forest might be called away suddenly to do something that was more important. But neither of those things happened. And if you notice the Schmooney here, he's looking kind of burly looking, just not very pretty. Finally, the Schmooney gathered his courage and stammered, "I don't want to come out because I'm ashamed. I don't like myself." "What is there not to like?" asked the Lord of the Forest. "I made all the creatures in the forest with wonderful characteristics that help them fulfill their purposes." "But you have made me without any," the Schmooney said very sadly. The Lord of the Forest was beginning to understand the real problem. "That is not true, my dear Schmooney, for I have given all of my dear animal friends features and qualities that are very, very special. Some of those gifts are immediately evident, some are not. Many of the qualities cannot be seen at all. They are only revealed when we least expect them. Your special purpose may not be visible to others. It may be hidden now, but it will come out when the time is right." "What is my purpose?" asked the Schmooney. "I haven't any special features or gifts." The Lord of the Forest spoke slowly and quietly, for it was very important for the Schmooney to understand what he said. "We each have unique qualities. Each of us must discover what our own special gifts are. When you discover your gifts, you will know your purpose. I can assure you, your gift is a very special one." He paused for a moment and then continued, "I want you to pursue this goal, my dear friend. Discover your special gift, for you possess a very great gift indeed." Then the Lord of the Forest disappeared into the woods. The Schmooney thought about those wonderful words. We each have a gift? Now what is mine? He thought and he thought and he thought until he dozed off asleep. Sometime during the night, the Schmooney awoke. He noticed a very odd smell. He rolled over and put another leaf over his head, but the smell did not go away. Oh dear, I guess I'd better see what this smell is, he thought. What do you think it might be? When he got up, he realized that the smell was not coming from inside his burrow. He looked sleepily outside. The enchanted forest was glowing with flames. A fire! Oh no, what should I do? He fearfully watched the spreading flames. He froze for an instant. Then he yelled. The other animals must be alerted. Without thinking of his personal safety, the Schmooney leaped from his burrow and started yelling, "Fire! Fire! Fire!" He ran into the forest shouting, "Fire! Run for your lives!" The other animals were lost in dreams, fast asleep. They were awakened by the Schmooney's cries. He ran, shouting, throughout the forest, alerting all of his unsuspecting animal friends. The fire spread rapidly. The brave little Schmooney ran faster and faster. He must reach every animal before the fire trapped them. He raced through the enchanted forest, crying out, until he finally reached the far side to the forest. Once there, he collapsed from exhaustion. I'm thinking the Schmooney must be a pretty brave little guy here to run through and warn everybody like that. The Lord of the Forest called upon the Lord of the Sky and asked for help. The sky opened up with a tremendous shower, a downpour of so much water that the fearsome fire was completely smothered. The animals had been terribly frightened, but they were all safe. They were very grateful that the Schmooney had been so brave. They knew that they owed their lives to him. The Lord of the Forest looked down on the Schmooney with a great affection and pride. "You have saved all of my friends," he said to the Schmooney, "because you used your very great gift. You possess the gift of courage, tremendous courage. For your brave and selfless deed, I will grant you one wish. Whatever it is that you want, I will give it to you." The Schmooney, who was still dazed from these events, thought about how much he admired all the other animals of the forest. It did not take long for him to know exactly what he wanted. "I know what I want," he said, and although he was exhausted, he stood to show his respect for the Lord of the Forest. "I want to have the special features and qualities of the greatest animals of the forest." With that, his strength failed and he sank to the ground. The Schmooney fell into a deep sleep. He began to dream. The other animals gathered around him and gradually drifted off to sleep. They dreamed of the Schmooney and his bravery. The Schmooney dreamed of the other animals and their wonderful gifts. He was very tired. He slept undisturbed, with his grateful friends protecting him through the night. The next morning, the sun peeked through the leaves of the tall oak trees. The enchanted forest was awakening from the very frightening night. The Schmooney was the first to open his eyes. It felt wonderful. He yawned and stretched and was preparing to clean the dirt from his coat when he noticed something odd. Remember, the Schmooney back on the beginning pages was kind of burly looking and just rough and dirty looking. And kind of, if you look here, he's kind of looking a little different. If you look at his shadow, he's kind of cleaned up. Not as rough looking. He couldn't believe his eyes. He blinked and shook himself to make sure he was really awake. He wasn't dreaming, it was true. He looked at his legs, his feet, and his tail. He sniffed his coat in amazement. The Lord of the Forest had granted him his wish. The Schmooney now shared the special features and qualities of the greatest animals. The Lord of the Forest had made it very plain to him. As the Schmooney picked the leaves off his coat, he realized that he now had the front legs of a black bear. His back legs were those of a bobcat. His stomach was the camouflage markings of a brown-tailed deer. He had the long ears of a rabbit and the face of a raccoon, the beautiful thick coat of a skunk that covered his back, and his tail was that like a beaver. And although he shared the special characteristics of so many great animals, he had another gift that was all his own. The Schmooney still had his great gift of courage. And for that he was very thankful, for he now understood that it is not what you look like on the outside that counts. It's what you have on the inside. And I told you that this book taught a great lesson, and that was the lesson that it taught. At the very end, it told us basically that it doesn't matter what we look like on the outside. It doesn't matter what our clothes look like. It doesn't matter what our hair looks like. It doesn't matter what our cars look like or our houses look like. All that matters is what's on the inside. That's what really counts. And that's what people really look at when they're looking at you, is how are you treating other people? Are you brave? Are you courageous? And are you nice and kind like the Schmooney? And would you warn your friends if something was wrong? Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good night, and so does your Schmooney.